Welcome, Lock 22 Nation, to another bastardized version of the Dames Marv Show. And Iowa idiots over Washington's antics. Only today, it's Iowa City with Canadians in the yard. Canadians in the yard. We got with us always Major Tom, Uncle Russ, and today a special guest from our neighbors to the north. This is Stephen J. Jackson, joining us on the heels of his newly minted single, October. Welcome to the show, Steve. Tell us about the new song.
The new song is just came to me in the middle of the night. One of those moments where you just got to start writing it down. And it was about 3 a.m. and it was like, okay, let's get it done. And I was very fortunate to work with a great friend of mine who's a drummer and a music teacher, and he helped me knock the corners off that one. And yeah, and that was back in, I guess, June when we wrote it and got it produced and everything. And extremely happy with it, and lots of great feedback. So I'm very pleased with that one. That'll be one where I want to perform it live a few times, put it that way.
Just ahead, okay, two things. Just ahead of October, you got it released. It's been out not even 2 months yet, but I'm tickled pink because you said a boat already. I love I love it. So we're all not used to that. Anyway, my first question, congratulations on the single. I played it on my show the other day. Oh, and I have to tell you this. I was really pissed off this morning when I did my morning show, and I roasted your name every like 15 minutes on my show, saying that you're a bastard for not showing up. So I will be doing an apology tour tomorrow.
No,
So if you hear somebody say that I said to eat your tiny dick, just it it'll all be taken care of, okay? Thank you
well,
for being
I
here. I
think
appreciate it. Happy Thanksgiving.
thank you.
Um, thank you. First question's for you. All right, living in Canada, it must be frustrating seeing us tear each other apart as a country. Now, I'm curious though, from your perspective, what does a Trump presidency mean for you and others like you living in Canada?
Well, if it's directly correlated to Canada, he's already threatened tariffs, which he did do in his first presidency, which was a huge mistake. From my perspective, he hurt our collective economies. So there's that. But I think culturally is it's farming this rage that of like particularly against immigrants. And Canada's a country that we rely on immigration. And to have that happen, that type of rhetoric, it's really damaging. And then it fuels the flames of that type of, um, the stuff that sits in the corners of society. And then, you pour some gas on that and it becomes ugly. So I can see it really spiraling out of control.
Yeah, I forgot to start the timer when you started, so it has been started. We're on the clock now. I want to add to that because I don't expect you guys to speak intelligently on Canada US relations as how it pertains to Canada. So I will throw in there as early as as late as this week, Trump has said even more than the economy, the issue has been the border. Now, I'm troubled to hear him say this because he specifically told his people to shoot down a bill that would have been the most comprehensive bill for the border in the history of the world. Um, Tom, I'm going to let you go first on this one, just because I got Russ going first on the next question. But what do you say to that?
Well, what I say to that is that's been his shtick from the very beginning. If you go way back to the beginning of his campaign, He picked up on the anti-immigrant um, uh, feeling that was going on, particularly with the Tea Party element of the Republican Party, and he just keeps doubling down on it. And so for that issue to get resolved before election day, wouldn't leave him with anything, because let's face it, he doesn't have any policy on anything else. But I think we're talking right now, based on what he's saying and what his aides like Stephen Miller are saying, you're talking a whole nother level of dysfunction that he's looking to create. They're talking about deporting up to 10 million people. So, for starters, the amount of resources necessary to deport 10 million people, I don't know that the federal government has those in place.
Well,
It
that's
would,
how he's going to create jobs, Tom.
yeah, yeah. Um, and we did do it. I mean, they'll say, well, we've done it before, and that's true. In the wake of World War One, in the late 19 teens, we deported, I believe it was around 10 million people at that time. And it was not good for the economy. It Businesses will be the first to suffer if he does this. Uh, there's there's got to be a more sensible way to do this. I think Democrats have moved on this issue also. I think Democrats are much more in favor of stricter border controls and policies, but um, they're they want to take a more reasoned approach. And from a political standpoint, he really doesn't have anything else.
Okay, so before we go to Russ on this, Russ, deporting 10 million people, I realize that a number of those 10 million people, probably half or more, are working some kind of job to earn money in this country, whether it's under the table or, another way. But what happens when you remove those people and from those jobs? Are strawberries going to be $80 a pound?
I, well, he wants to deport the majority of the people that harvest our crops and process them. Uh, I don't want to hear this rhetoric, this tired old rhetoric about immigrants stealing jobs that good, hardworking Americans want, because it's bullshit. It's not true. Uh, this is a very traditional path to go on, and not a good one. The United States of America has a long history of anti-immigrant bias. You know, read about the 19th century, how the Irish and the Italians were treated when they came here, which was led to an overall, anti-Catholic bias that ruled over the country until well into the 20th century. He's appealing to our worst instincts as a nation. And unfortunately, they say that you can never go broke when you appeal to people's basest instincts. This is what worries me about the possibility of a Trump victory in this election, is that he's appealing to people's fear of the other, fear of someone who speaks a different language, fear of someone who practices a different religion, or even practices the same religion in a different way. It's hysterical and it's fear-based. And the lies that he always brings up are, they're emptying mental institutions, they're emptying jails, they're sending us our rapists, they're sending us murderers, they're sending us drug dealers. It's all untrue, and it's very easily proven untrue, but yet people believe it because you appeal to what people fear the most, and they're very easily manipulated.
All right. I have a feeling that living outside of this country allows people to be a little bit more objective about what's actually going on in this country. And I feel like each side, while living within the country, is gaslighting each other into thinking they're the crazy ones. That's what's happening here. But when I step back way up into where Major Tom's sitting, into the atmosphere, and I look back, what I see is a world of people looking at the United States saying, what the hell is those people are out of their minds? How are they the number one power? They're going to elect a felon. This is okay. Steve, you're outside of this country. When you look at the United States, are you just like constant like face palming? I mean, I kind of feel that's the way the rest of the world looks at us.
Yeah, it's like it's batshit. Like it's batshit crazy, you know, and when you're looking at it, and I've had conversations with friends of mine in the US that were, you know, not very liberal, but they're Democrats and stuff like that, and they flipped to Trump. I'm like, do you know what he's like really up to here? That he wants to be an autocrat. And they're like, yeah, but he's got some good policies. I'm like, well, name one. And they can't name it. And I think the misinformation is unbelievable.
Well, they have this people have this, and I'll go to you, Tom, next. People have this thing where they're like things are so bad. I'm not seeing things being so bad. But what I want to know is what 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 has Donald Trump ever saved? Who has he ever saved from anything? And what is he going to do for you to become this savior that you're looking for? Tom?
Well, we know what the answer is. He's not going to do a goddamn thing. But you've really got, I think, two types of voter that are that like Trump. Number one is, you've heard me say before in this election, even in the biggest landslide in American history in 1964 for the popular vote, you had one candidate get 39, almost 40% of the votes. So line 10 people up in this country, four of them will never vote for a Democrat, and four of them will never vote for a Republican. All right. I mean, that's just the way it is. And Steve, I'm pretty sure it's that way in Canada too, between conservatives and liberals. So you got those folks. Now, the Democrats you're talking about that switched to Trump, those really, I think, are a lot of your blue collar, working class, labor union people who have seen the system uh, run them into the ground basically since 1980, since the Reagan Revolution. We've seen backtracking in the prosperity and the importance and the social structure of the middle class, the working class, more accurately. And so I think Trump is appealing to those people simply because he wants to burn everything down. He wants to get rid of the deep state. He wants to do this. He wants to change everything. And a lot of those people were with him in 2016. A lot fewer were with him in 2020. He may get a few back, but I just don't think he's going to get um, all of them back. I still think that he's in deep trouble in this election. I'm going to keep saying that up till election day. I don't think this is going to be close, but that's my take.
All right, before I go to Russ, this question is going to go to you. Right now, there was recently, as early as today, an NBC poll that was released that has 48-48 across the board. 3 weeks ago, she was up 5 points. It's still which is still within the margin of error, but 48-48 going into the last 3 weeks. Harris is dropping in the polls, and I see Trump rising in the polls. And contrary to what Major Tom just said, I'm honestly feeling a redo of 2016, and I am terrified to my core that he's gonna win.
Yeah.
Because I don't even know what I'll do. You won't be able to reach me for a couple days if that happens, because I don't even know what that looks like to me. I don't want to be a fear monger, but I for the life of me, and we're just at the 20-minute mark now. We got 20 to go. I don't know how that's gonna sustain. Russ, thoughts?
I have similar thoughts. I'm beginning to get worried. I've stated several times on this program before that our system can survive any bad president. I don't want to underestimate, though, the potential damage that a Trump presidency could do to our freedom here in this country. Already, because of his influence, many freedoms have been lost. You know, women have lost the freedom of choice in regards to birth control and control of their own bodies. They're not going to be content to stop there. I also think that people should pay attention to the 2025 agenda, which he's tried to distance himself from. It's ridiculous. You know, he's mentioned by name over 500 times in the document, in that project. Every part of our economy, every part of our personal private life, every part of our corporate life together is going to be negatively affected by a Trump presidency. All I can do is just vote my conscience, which I will do tomorrow. First day you can vote early in Iowa, the 16th, and I'll be there. And I'm gonna vote a straight Democrat ticket, which is very, very rare for me.
I
But
know, I know it is. I know it is.
when Trump is on the ticket, I vote a straight Democrat ticket because I don't want anybody even remotely affiliated with Donald Trump in office. I am worried. If Trump wins, I'm going to be depressed too, but I'm also going to be angry. And at my age, I'm angry enough to, I think I'll become a real hellraiser. I think I will become a real troublemaker. I think I will do
Well,
everything I possibly can to be a thorn in their side, and jail don't mean shit to me. I've been there, done that. I don't care.
here's an issue. All right. The person elected to this office is supposed to represent the entirety of the people. Okay. Now, he's already done what he's done against women, and I can't believe for the life of me that a single woman would vote for him. But as people, parents of transgendered children, this is what really scares me. Okay. We are a country that has two completely different identities. All right. And I don't understand how a populace can be split completely down the middle, 50-50 almost, on humanitarian issues. Like, you get to love who you want to love. You get to be who you want to be in public. I can't believe that's an issue for half of our people. Steve, is it like this in Canada?
It's you know, it's complicated because we you know, as a multicultural country that we call that out, and then also on top of that, you know, in our charter of rights and freedoms, like this is guaranteed to live your life as you would like to live it. However, there are limitations. So when I'm seeing, you know, 50% of the people sit there and go, I don't like transgender folk, and I don't like gay people and stuff like that. I'm like, wait a minute. This is like 5% of the population. Can we just like let them live their lives? And to see that swing back in Canada now, it's being fueled by the US.
I agree, and I apologize. I
You
mean,
don't have to apologize. It's the reality. So
The number one thing is religious fanaticism. I really believe it. Religious fanaticism is what's fueling this for the most part.
and that's the thing. Like you're sitting there like, okay, whether it's the Bible or the Quran or like whatever you believe in, you know, these are not texts that hold true and hold water. you
Right.
know, and the people are just so fervent about that one section and whatever. And it's like, well, what about the other 90 sections?
Sure.
Yeah, we're at the halfway point. I want to kind of transition, if you don't mind. Um, this is something that I talked to Major Tom about this morning, and I believe this wholeheartedly. Because I see a lot of the right going on social media saying Harris is not answering the questions about what's different between her and Joe Biden. And to me, I watched these interviews and she's not separating herself from Joe Biden. And whether it's a matter of protecting him and his legacy, he's already done a lot to make sure that she is set up for success. But he needs to either go to her and say, look, if you need to tear me down to separate yourself from me to get this election done, then do it. I can handle it. I'm out of here in 2-3 months, and it ain't gonna matter to me if you were loyal. But there's also, you got to be careful with that, because the loyalty is huge in a lot of people's eyes. What I wish that she would do, and I'll open it up for comments after this, is say, look, we haven't had this House and the Senate in 2 years. We have not been able to do anything. The border would be taken care of if we had the Senate and the House. So if you're asking me if I would do things differently than Joe Biden, I wouldn't. What I would hope for is that we have a Congress that we can push things through and actually get them done. You want to blame the border on us right now while we're in the White House? Well, guess what? We worked bipartisan with the Republican Party to put together this bill that single-handedly addresses the number one issue in this election, and it was shot down by the Republican Party because they wanted this chip to play come election time. So you ask me if I would do things differently than Joe Biden? No, I wouldn't. What I would hope for is that I have a Congress and a Senate and House that agree that we need to make these changes and actually get them made. Thoughts?
My thoughts would be that I I think the Republicans complaining about her not separating herself from Joe Biden is it's just a talking point. I mean, honestly, she can't separate herself from Biden and be true to who she is and be true to what she is telling the American people she wants her administration to be. I think your suggestion is actually 100% spot on. Give me a Congress I can work with. Give me people I can work with, even moderate Republicans, right? I
Well,
mean,
let's
if you
not forget what's on the ballot. This is not just the presidential election, guys.
exactly. And if you look at what Joe Biden and a responsible Congress were able to achieve in the first 2 years of his presidency, we haven't seen that much legislation get through the Congress since Lyndon Johnson was president. Now, some people would look at that and say that was a bad thing. I don't know. I think the Infrastructure Act and the CHIPS Act and all the things that we're doing now to invest in American businesses and build up the economy long run. I kind of think that's a good idea, but that's what she needs to do. It's just like they complain that she won't do interviews. She won't do interviews. You know, how many interviews has Donald Trump done where he could even maintain a thought for more than 15 seconds in his head? I mean, it's a double standard that they're applying, and this is politics. This
Well,
is
she's been everywhere this week. She was on Colbert this week. She was on Howard Stern this week. She's out there doing interviews, and that's what I'm talking about. Every one of them asked her this question: how do you separate yourself from Joe Biden? To me, I just hit a home run with my answer, because it's the truth. It's inspiring. It's like, hey, I want to make these changes. Let's get it done. But I can't do it without the American people backing us up. You want changes? You want different than what the Biden campaign has provided you? Allow us to do it this time around, and we can get you what you need. And she
Can,
needs to speak with this kind of fervor. It's
yes.
not
And
working. What she's doing is, oh, no, I love what Joe Biden. No, you have to be better than that. You have to be better than that.
can I just throw one comment in here
Yeah.
that the press asking those questions is just weak bullshit. I mean, honest to God, the press is like a total disservice to the American public in the way that they're covering this election. I'm just going to leave it at
Let me
that.
ask you this. You don't think that's a fair question? People are so pissed off about how things are right now, and you're going to elect somebody that's in the current administration. That has to be question number one.
Yeah.
No,
Well, that,
I think the real question would be is this is what Biden's policy was. How is your policy different than that? That's what a real question would be.
I kind of agree with that, but then you're going line by line by line. I mean, and who has that's a boring interview.
that's the kind of thing I like, but the general public doesn't, you know. I share your pessimism in that I don't see Kamala Harris as being a very good campaigner. She's not doing a
A little
fantastic job,
frustrating.
and she's not closing the deal. I just wish she would have. I just wish the Democratic Party would get over this fear of moving too far left to center. They're deathly afraid that if they somehow move further left, that they're going to lose the vote. They're going to lose the public. And we went like this is similar to Hillary Clinton versus Bill Clinton in that sense, and that the Democrats have elected somebody who I don't feel is a strong candidate. And I'm going to vote for her anyway by default. I don't care if she was a complete moron. I don't care if she had an IQ of 0. I'm still going to vote for her before I'll vote for Donald Trump.
I mean, I feel like Donald Trump has many reasons to not vote for him, but I feel like most people have like, this is the reason I'm out. This is the reason I'm out. This is, and you could pick any one of 10 reasons, and they're all accurate reasons. And it's funny that you mentioned left of center and far, far left, because I think Canada was actually looking at a universal income at one point. And even if that was brought up by one of our Democratic candidates,
Yeah.
That's not going to make me go Trump. I'm sorry. That's not
Right.
going to make me go Trump. Steve, where are you guys with that?
Yeah, it's I guess they call it universal basic income, and it's been piloted in several countries in Scandinavia and everything.
Yep.
It's been shown as being highly successful, you know. I think that from a Canadian perspective, Trudeau is way behind in the polls right now. He will not get reelected. If he is going to figure out how to get reelected again, he's probably got to figure out universal basic income. We've got pharmacare and dental care now under his watch, and also by one of the third parties. Hey, we have more than 2 parties in Canada. So
Bastards. You bastards.
Yep.
So yeah, it's I think it'll be a good thing if they bring it in, but if somebody in the US did that, it would be just explosive. It would just be, yeah, we're giving it to the immigrants, and like it's all like they're robbing us again, you know, like
Or even when $750 is given to you as a like, here, go get what you need right now. It's like, fuck you. I'm like, dude,
Yeah. That's
like,
just like a one-time
what do you want?
emergency
Here's $2
payment.
million a person. Go relive your life somewhere else as someone else. Is that all we can do for you? Like, these people are like, fuck socialism. And then we offer them $750 in their time of need, and they're like, that's not enough. Fuck you. You bitch. Or whatever. It's like, what the fuck, man? And I feel like you're right, dude. I was gonna say, you put universal income in America, we're like Tommy Boy, dude. We're crushing fucking everything on the table, and we're walking out without the sale.
Yeah.
We got 5 minutes left.
I mean, that would be like the whoever brings that up is going to be labeled a communist.
Oh,
It's communism.
We're communists because we want dental paid for. I mean, shit. Like, dude, this country, I'm telling you, we got some issues.
Well, it's
You're
so
just
backward.
joining
You know?
us. We have some issues. All right.
Wait,
I want to make sure that we get to this rhetoric discussion. I'm jumping a couple topics because we were at the 4 minute mark, but go ahead and tell us about the Trump rhetoric on Sunday, because I didn't have that in my notes, but it's particularly haunting me. So go ahead.
Well, he's been kind of hinting around at this through the whole campaign. I'd be justified in seeking revenge and all this, but he really came out over the weekend and he just flat out said the enemy is within. Sounded like Joe McCarthy to me. The enemy is within, and we're gonna have to put him down. And basically, in so many words, he said he was willing to use the U.S. military to go after American citizens. I don't think he ever says anything that he doesn't want to do. I think he's got certain people in his orbit. Again, I'll use the name Stephen Miller, but Mr. Bannon comes up also, even though he's in prison right now. But there's certain people in his element or his orbit that are authoritarian by nature. I believe that is his baseline. It's about power and control. And I mean, folks, you should take this serious. I would not be surprised at all to see him go after journalists, to go after politicians, to declare martial law and send the military into certain areas. He probably would order the military to participate in this deportation stuff that he wants to do. He'll send Abrams tanks down to the Mexico border. I mean, I think there's a lot of things that he basically is telling us what he wants to do. And the fear that I have, I mean, you've heard me say numerous times that a right-wing uprising would get crushed by the federal government. Well,
we have drones.
You might have a left-wing uprising get crushed by the federal government if all this stuff happens.
Quick, Russ, quick. You got
the general American public, you got to remember, are very heavily armed. There's many jurisdictions in this country where there are far more guns than there are citizens. And if he tries something like this, sad to say, but a lot of people are going to die. It's going to be bloody. It's going to be violent. And a lot of innocent people are going to get caught in the crossfire.
I'm glad I let you go first, because that really hammers home what I was going to say. Historically, when our military has been sent into civilian units to take over whatever, those people are used to being oppressed and not have the freedoms and liberties that we have here in the United States. So they're an easy target most of the time to take out, women and children and whatever. You try that shit here. I mean, a lot of these guys have military training that they would be going after. A lot of them have, all of them have grown up with freedom and liberty, and they know their way around the system, and they know what they're fighting for. These other people, they don't even speak the same language in most of these areas. You're talking about going into a place where you speak the same language, you've had the same rights and freedoms as this person. You're just against the wrong. And what if these people in the military are not Trump people?
I was just going to say, you would have a substantial portion of the military that would refuse these orders. And then we've got chaos.
Then morale breaks down, as so to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, it's time for final statements. We're 3, 2, 1. Beep, 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 beep. Wow, 30 minutes goes by so fucking fast. Steve, that was awesome. I appreciate you being here. You're welcome back anytime. We do this on Tuesdays, sometimes Thursdays. If it's a pressing news week, there's so much we didn't even get to. Democrats controlling the weather again.
Right.
We didn't get to the Trump rallies in Coachella where people were left after standing 7 hours. They were bussed in 7, 8 miles to the rally where they watched for an hour and a half. Then Trump left and they were all sitting there going, "Where's the buses to take us back to our cars?" Nope, you got to walk 8 miles back to your car after you've been on your feet for 8 hours. And these people are still going, the city really let us down on this. Come on, you dumb bastards. He doesn't give a fuck.
I heard it's because Trump didn't pay the bus company.
That would not be the first time that Trump didn't pay a contact.
Right.
Absolutely not. All right, Tom. I'm going to let you give your closing statement for today, or just thoughts on where we are with 3 weeks to go.
I think it's that silly season of the campaign where everybody gets nervous, everybody gets edgy, everybody gets tense. We got 3 weeks of unrelenting bullshit to live through. I still believe we wake up either the next morning or a few days after the election and Kamala Harris is president-elect.
Oh, music to my ears, my friend. Russ, break my heart.
Well, I just think that I want to invent a new drinking game. In the next 3 weeks, every time you hear a politician in an ad insult his opponent without offering a defense of his own policy, take a shot. And we'll see, who's the first to pass out.
Oh,
you won't make it through the first afternoon.
I apologize that we also didn't get to Stephanie Love's queef cannon again tonight.
Oh, that's right.
Keeps
That's
getting
all
pushed
right.
to the back burners. Our Canadian friend, which this was Iowa, idiots over Washington's antics, city, Canadians in the yard, Stephen J. Jackson, 3 weeks ago in this election that you don't get to vote in. Take your temperature. Where you at?
I'm thinking Kamala's going to win. And one of the things we didn't get to was foreign policy, which I'm very worried about. And he's saying he's getting rid of NATO. So I'm like, okay, I believe him, and going back, I can't remember who said, if it was who said, like, believe him when he says what he's going to do. And that's scary, the stuff that's coming out of his mouth. It doesn't matter if it's domestic policy or foreign policy. It's scary as shit.
You'll have to come back and talk about that with us, Steve.
No.
Yeah,
No.
I mean, even if it's next week, then or Thursday, that's fine. But you're right. And I'll just make my final comment based off of yours. I do believe him when he says day one he's going to be a dictator and then that's it. But I don't believe that he ever gives back that power. If you want to be a dictator on day one, the dictator's attitude is not to give up power, really, ever. So what makes anybody think, and why would you say this out loud? Why would you say this out loud? I'm going to be a dictator on day one, and then we'll go back to normal. No, that's not how dictators work. Dictators, once they get the power, they want to keep the power, and they want to keep the people under their thumb for the rest.
The only thing you can do with a dictator is assassinate him.
Well, to answer your question, the reason he says it out loud is because his frontal lobe is completely gone and he has no impulse control, so he just says what he thinks.
And that's the final part of my closing statement is, with 3 weeks to go, I don't think we've even seen the bottom of the barrel from this guy yet. He's
It'll
going
get
to go
worse.
as low as you can possibly go. And I think it will be on level of, I mean, it already has been on the level of, I can't believe I'm hearing this with my own ears, but it's going to get to the level of where you wonder if our life is not a simulation that somebody's just cranking up the intensity to see
Right,
how much we can take.
right.
That's what I feel like it's going to get to. We're going to wonder if we're not some experiment that somebody's cranking it up just to see what our breaking point is. Folks, that was an awesome show. Stephen J. Jackson. I'll be on my apology tour tomorrow. You're a stand-up human being. Happy
You don't need to
Father's
do
Day.
that.
I don't have a tiny dick. I don't really know. I did say that a number of times. I apologize.
No, I apologize for throwing a curveball into it, and I'm glad we got to do this. I saw the show last week, a little bit of it, and I was like, "This is cool, man. I really like it." So
Right on, man. Well, it looked
pretty
better with
invite.
4 people in the squares anyway. So, all right, fellas. Thank you so much for everything. We'll get this up and online within a half an hour, and then we can start passing it around. Thank you guys for everything. Well, we've got 3 weeks left, and then we'll have to either change up our show, or we'll just have a whole bunch of other stuff to bitch about for eternity. All right. Everyone out there in watching us land, thank you for watching. Please like, share, subscribe. Love you. Bye.